What's going on, everybody? Halo Drama here, and as is tradition, joined with Waverly Frontman.
Yo.
Excuse me, sorry. Excuse me. That's the soda talking. Cream soda, as a matter of fact, it's delicious. We are back with episode 8 of our Random Click series, where we are on EDHREC, and we use the random button to bring up a random legendary creature, and we talk about how we would possibly build a commander deck around said random legendary creature if we were going to, or if we would at all, because we have had some that we were just like, I would never use this. But we try to make the most of it, because there have been some that we thought were underwhelming, and the more we talked about it and the more we thought of it, we were like, I guess I could do something with that if the situation presented itself. But let's go. Yeah, that's it with the intro. Now I'm stuttering. You ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah, yay, play. Holy shit, that's an old one. That Plane Shift? I think I used to own this card. Wow, that's super old. Namada Grove Guardian costs 4 and 2 green. Is a 4/5 tree folk. This is the old wording. It would, like, if this was an updated card, it would say legendary creature tree folk.
Yeah.
Has an activated ability. You can pay 2 and 8 green and put a 1/1 green sapling onto the battlefield. Has another activated ability that you can do at instant speed here. Sacrifice a sapling. All saplings get +1/+1 until end of turn. I'm already thinking that there's a lot of ways you can go with this, especially in the color green. Because green, there's some Selesnya, that's white and green for anybody who doesn't know. I know there are some Selesnya cards that will create 1/1 saplings, but excuse me, I know there are a bunch of green cards that create 1/1 saplings. Let's see it now, and see, as soon as I said that, I drew a blank. Because I know there's one that has landfall. That when a land enters the battlefield and you control, you create saplings.
Ore Mound?
Yes, I do believe you are correct.
I used to use that one a lot back in the day.
And I still use it in my AC deck. I just couldn't think of the name of it. Spore Mound costs 3 and 2 green. Which where you would say that that's expensive, this is a green deck. Yeah. And for anybody who's ever watched me talk about the color green, it's a green deck. You have ramp in your green deck. It's a green deck. It's what green does. But it's a 3/3 fungus. Has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green sapling. And like I said, I know for a fact there are a lot of things in green that create saplings. Is that Verdict Force? Yes. Yep, I remember this card. This is a new printing, actually, because it used to have an old, a different picture on it. Verdant Force, 5 and 3 green, which again in a green deck should not be an issue. As a 7/7 elemental at the beginning of each upkeep. That's each upkeep. So if you have 3 opponents, and this is still alive, by the time it gets back to you, you're going to have 3 more saplings. At the beginning of each upkeep, well, I guess once it gets back to you, you'll get a 4th one. But you know what I mean. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. And the thing about it is, if you're running cards like, let's say, if any of you out there can afford this card and or already own one, lucky you, first of all, because that is quite the hefty price tag on this doubling season. Lord knows I want one, but I know that's not going to happen. That is not in the budget. Doubling season. 4 and a green enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. If an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those counters on that permanent instead. Obviously, with this deck, don't get me wrong, you can run some planeswalkers or whatever the case may be if you care about the second ability. But just given the fact that we're trying to create a gang of these sapling tokens, this first ability will definitely help you do that. And what is the... I just got this card off of one of you guys. I think it was Tim. What's the other enchantment that does? I just got it. It's also expensive. Are you there?
I am. I'm trying to think. Doubling season?
No, this is doubling season. Oh my god, I cannot believe that I can't think.
Twin lives or something like that?
No. Oh my. Lives. You had me at lives.
Lives. I can't think of it.
It's parallel lives. And it's $50. I just finally got one of these after all these years. Because it's only been printed in EDHREC.
Yeah.
And I finally... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I finally own one of these, and I'm so happy. Parallel Lives. 3 and a green enchantment. If an effect would put one or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, it puts twice that many of those tokens. Instead, I own one of these, so if I was going to run a deck with this Namada, this would be an auto include. Like, no questions asked. And there's actually a third one that does the same thing. It'll let you get twice I know it's a green enchantment. I had it back in the day. It's a green enchantment that costs 5. It's either 4 and a green or 3 and 2 green. But it will also let you create twice as many tokens. And if you would put, I want to say +1/+1 counters on it, you do that many +1. The only thing that's bad about that particular card that I'm thinking of is it lets everybody do it.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, I can't think of the name. I know I used to have it. And yeah, I know it's a 5-drop green enchantment, but it lets everybody who's playing, they would also create twice as many tokens and put an extra counter on their stuff. But depending on the strategy you're running, if you can get a bunch of these tokens out there, you're not going to care. And it also depends on what kind of deck they're using. So there is that. There are a lot of go white strategy decks out there, and if you were to play a card like that, you'd have a problem. You know, I want to say that card was called Primal something, but I don't. Primal Vigor? I'm a beast at this, dude. For as big of a stoner as I am, I have no idea how I remember some of these cards sometimes. Primal Vigor, 4 and a green enchantment. If one or more tokens would be put onto the battlefield, twice that many of those tokens are put on the battlefield instead. On the battlefield, that means that's for anybody. That's the only unfortunate part of this, is that anybody can do it. And if one or more +1/+1 counters would be placed on a creature, okay, that's what it is. Twice that many +1/+1 counters are placed on it instead. So this can get out of control for you, and it can also get out of control for your opponents. It just depends on what kind of deck they're running. If they're running just solid, like, big creature type decks or whatever the case may be, or even like Voltron decks, you don't really have to worry about. You might have to worry about the +1/+1 counters, but you don't so much have to worry about the tokens. Now, if somebody is running a go wide strategy like you're trying to do, this could get out of control. Yeah. And it can mess around and end up just being you and the other person playing, because y'all will have the most creatures. And I was just going to say, I'm going to apologize because I feel like I kind of took over. Go ahead on your takes, Waverly. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, one card I've just been sitting here dying to bring up is Life and Limb.
Life and Limb, okay. Let's see what we got here. Life and Limb. What do we got here? Life and Limb is costs 3 and a green, it's an enchantment. Oh, wow. All that's ridiculous. All forests and all saplings are 1/1 green sapling creature tokens and forest lands. In addition to the types, they're still affected by summoning sickness, which that's completely understandable. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the only all of this is that somebody played a board wipe.
Yep, it hit your force too.
Oh my goodness, God, that would be if you were to play a card like this, you better be about to win. That's just my opinion.
Which in this deck is very possible, I would say.
It is. No, it is. It very much so is. Because it's a green deck, so you're going to have a gang of forests out on the board. At least you better, because it's a green deck. You better be ramping.
You might be running like an overrun or something like that as well.
Yeah, true. That's actually a really good card for a deck like this. Yeah, overrun. Overrun costs 2 and 3 green. It's a sorcery, but creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. Yeah, with a gang of they only start off as 1/1s, but you get a gang of 4/4s coming at you, and you're gonna have a problem.
Or if you want to bring up a more expensive card, you could go for the Craterhoof Behemoth. But
oh my God, I've lost to this card on numerous occasions, and I'm sure I'm not the only person. This is one of those cards you hear somebody about to play this, you hear somebody cast this, and you're like, shit! Craterhoof Behemoth costs 5 and 3 green, is a 5/5 beast with haste. Of course it has haste. When Craterhoof Behemoth enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. I'm sure so many people have. I've lost to this card on numerous occasions. There are just sometimes you don't see this damn thing coming and you're just like, son of a bitch.
And this in combination with that life and limb.
Nobody has time for your fuckery there, Waverly. But he's not wrong. He is not wrong at all. Not to mention another card I just thought of. Let's see, your commander's a 4/5. So another card I just thought of was... Oh, it's down there. Yep, right there. I have won games and lost games to this card. Overwhelming Stampede costs 3 and 2 green, the exact same cost as Overrun, but this is much better. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power amongst creatures you control. So even if your commander is the biggest creature you have, they're all going to get +4/+4 and gain trample.
Yep.
And like he said, I already took it down. Yeah, with the life and limb on the board, yeah, that's all your lands too. Oh my. Yeah, that's disgusting. But that's the name of the game. But yeah, a lot of different ways you can. And I know there are other cards out there that create Saproling tokens that I just didn't think of and can't think of off the top of my head. But if we sat here and tried to go through every one, these episodes would be like 2 hours long, and that's what we're trying not to do.
Fungal sprouting. No.
Listen, boy, stop. The funny thing is a lot of the fungus creature types have some way of creating a Saproling. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
That is a very good point. And depending on how many you can get out there, you can start sacking some to give your other ones +1/+1.
Yep. But shoot, that's instant speed. You could wait until they're blocked and then sack the ones that got blocked to boost the ones that didn't.
That's true. That is very true. Yep. In response, before damage is dealt, you are not wrong. So that's good enough for me. If anybody else has any more opinions, please comment them. If you have a deck with this and you have any kind of different ideas, please comment them. That's completely fine with me. I like seeing other people's takes on cards and strategies and stuff like that. That's the name of the game. But unless you have anything else to add, I'm fine with moving on to the rating.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, based on this being a commander alone, I would put it at a 5. I'd put it at about average, right in the middle. Because you're obviously gonna ramp, so you're gonna be able to pay for this. And it also just depends on how many things you can get out that lets you create more saplings other than this activated ability that costs 2 and a green. Because like I said, there's a lot of them, and we couldn't name all of them, or this would have taken too long of us trying to figure out the cards and look them up and everything like that. But for me, right in the middle. I could see me using it. I could see me not using it. It was just been on how I felt at the time, I guess. What about you?
I gotta give it a 5 as well. That was actually what I was thinking ahead of time, but
I can dig it.
It's a 50-50 kind of thing. It does cost 6. You are going to ramp, but that thing costs 6. It will cost more if somebody can keep removing it from the board. It may upend your entire strategy to not be able to put this out there as much. I don't know.
Yeah. But in green, you shouldn't have too many problems. But hey, not everybody owns every ramp card in the world. Should I own every ramp card in the world? But I do own a lot of them. But it is what it is. Matter of fact, because we can start throwing this kind of information into the videos that we make. How many decks exist with this? Wow, 150. That's not good.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why it's only a 5. I'm not gonna lie. Was that the first one we did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a stunner. Anyway, ready to move on to the next one?
Yep.
Click. Oh my God, satyrs. I hate satyrs. It's such a dumb creature type, and a lot of their abilities are so stupid. But let's see what this one does. Yeah, maybe I'll find one that changes my mind. Gallia of the Endless Dance. That's your name? Is your middle name and Endless Dance your last? Whatever. Anyway, costs Gruul. That's red and green for anybody who doesn't know. Is a 2/2 satyr. Obviously a creature type that I'm not a huge fan of. Has haste. Other satyrs you control get +1/+1 and have haste. I suppose that's not horrible. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, that's kind of hefty. You may discard a card at random. If you do draw 2 cards, I honestly already don't like this. I don't know if it's because I'm so anti-satyr. I remember the Theros block. I hated these things.
I didn't hate them, but they weren't impressive.
Not at all. Not to me, anyway. Like I said, I've always said, again, this is one man's trash is another man's treasure kind of games, where I'm like, this is trash. There's somebody out there that probably has a deck that'll beat the shit out of somebody with this. Who knows? It is what it is. But I'm sorry if I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, the second part of this card honestly makes me feel like a very slightly better Tybalt. Only better because you draw 2 cards, but that random discard
can
be a killer.
Well, at least it's a May.
Yes, it is a May.
Yeah, at least it's a May.
So I suppose you could have a mitt full of useless crap and be like, alright, I don't care if I randomly.
Yeah, that has happened before. Because as I always say, this deck is half green, so you're gonna have some ramp in this deck. But what if you end up with a gang of lands, but then you end up with a hand of lands? Not saying your whole hand, like you have 7 lands in your hand, because that would be ridiculous. But by the time this might matter, you might have excuse me, you might have 3 or 4 cards in your hand, maybe.
Yeah.
And like you said, you might end up with some cards in your hands that don't do anything for you at the time. So you're just like, you know what? I can scratch one of these to hopefully draw 1, if not both cards that I can actually use.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good point. It's not horrible for the fact that it's cheap. And it has haste, so this thing can't hit somebody on the second turn. So That's not horrible because I do like cheap commanders. The fact that it gives your other satyrs +1/+1 in haste, that's also not terrible. It's just me personally, just like Waverly said, we've seen the Theros block, or is that Theros, or is that the Theros Beyond? Because it says this came out in 2020.
I think that's the Beyond.
But anyway, we were still playing in the Theros block, and I want to say that's when the original satyrs came out. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments below. And the satyrs in that block were completely underwhelming to me. Like I personally would never use them, and I think it's because of that set that I've never really given satyrs a chance.
Right.
There could be a whole gang of satyrs out that are awesome. They're the shit, but I wouldn't know because I don't look them up. So I don't know. If there are some, and you guys know of some that are actually pretty awesome, please comment and let us know. Because me personally, I don't really know any of the satyrs. I was so anti-satyr that I can't even remember the names of these things because I hated them so much. So I just never gave them a chance. So honestly, I really don't have anything to add. Well, other than the fact that it just says when you attack with 3 or more creatures. They don't have to be satyrs that you're attacking with.
True.
It will be more than likely, seeing as in this does give them haste, and the deck's half red, so you're going to be running things like Fervor and stuff like that. Say, because what if your commander's out on the board, but you still want to swing on somebody? So I would think that you're still going to run the stuff out there that would... Oh, you know one card that would go really well with this if the commander's on the battlefield and it's already giving them haste? And I really like this card. I used to run it in my werewolf deck. Now I run it in a token deck that I have, and it's Rhythm of the Wild. I've always liked this card. Costs 1 in Gruul. It's an enchantment. Creatures you control can't be countered. Because I can't speak for everybody, I hate counter spells. I know they're part of the game, and it's something that you have to deal with. It is what it is. Because one of my really good friends who I play Magic with the most, he hates that I use a Moran deck and I make him sacrifice all his creatures. But I also hate that he uses counter spells. These are two things that we both hate, but they're part of the game. You just have to find a way to deal with them. Like I said, creature spells you control can't be countered. Non-token creatures you control have Riot, which means they enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. So if you have your commander on the battlefield and you have Rhythm of the Wild on the battlefield, you're automatically going to give them the +1/+1 counter.
Yeah.
Because they already have haste. So that's a huge benefit of that. Or like I said, if you are running a card, because I have this card in a dragon deck, in a Gruul dragon deck that I have, and I purposely run cards like Fervor, a card that I feel needs no introduction, but let's see. It costs 2 and a red. It's an enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. Something as small as that. You can have this on the board and Rhythm of the Wild on the board, and every single time, obviously, you're going to put the +1/+1 counters on them because they already have haste. That's a no-brainer. But I honestly, I don't have anything else to add to this. Like I said, as soon as I saw the creature type, I immediately was like, I don't like this.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about satyrs, so I did have to look this up. But one satyr that's kind of cool is Willow Satyr.
Okay.
And it's actually an older one, so they didn't come out just in Theros. This is before that.
Oh, Willow Satyr, okay. Holy shit.
That's Legends.
Dude. Do you have...
I can pull up the eroded version if that's...
Please do that, thank you. I mean, don't get me wrong. Well, you know what? Yeah, go ahead. I can see what the first line says. You tap it and you gain control... Wait a minute. Tap it, gain control of target legend. It doesn't necessarily say legendary. I'm assuming it just means legendary permanent.
Let me just read the eroded version.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's start off. It's a Willow Satyr, a 1/1 Satyr. It costs 2 and 2 green. and you may choose not to untap Willow Satyr during your untap step. Tap it, gain control of target legendary creature for as long as you control Willow Satyr, and Willow Satyr remains tapped.
Okay, that's not horrible.
So you can steal people's commanders.
Yeah, you can steal people's commanders. Yep. Yeah.
That's the coolest Satyr I've heard of.
I can take it. Yeah. I guess if I ever was to run a deck like that, that would be in it. It's only a 3. Oh, no, it wouldn't, because I'm not buying that.
Holy, yep, no, I'm not.
So, yeah, you go ahead and be that. You go ahead and be that good Willow in Legends, because those Legend cards are expensive as hell.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't even want to carry on with this. Like I said, I'm so anti-Satyr. I'm not even giving this a chance. You have anything to add?
Nada.
All right, we can go ahead and rate it. I will give this a 2. And this is because, you know what? No, I'll give it a 3. And this is, I'm being unbiased, if I'm even using the term correctly. It's because I don't like satyrs. I'm not being racist.
That sounds like me.
But shut your ass up. But I don't like satyrs, so I'm personally not gonna use them. And the only reason I gave it a 3 instead of a 1 or even a fucking 0 is because it does have haste. It does give your other satyrs +1/+1 in haste. That's actually pretty cool. The third ability is not horrible, but these first two, I'd say that's my number 2 and that's my number 3. I really don't give a shit about this. But I'm so anti-Satyr that it's whatever. What about you?
I'm going with a 2, mostly because there aren't all that many satyrs, and since there aren't all that many satyrs, it means there's not all that many great satyrs. And the best one I could find is well over $1,000, so...
Right. But surprisingly, there are almost 1,000 decks with this. So somebody out there likes it. Apparently, not 9/11. That's okay. We're gonna move on.
Sure, there's some combo we're not seeing with this, but
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we're not seeing with this because these people gave satyrs a chance. We didn't. It is what it is. But anyway, to move on to one last one for this episode, and then we can go on with our lives.
Yeah.
Click! Oh, it's blue. I see the word gold. Maeve? Let's go with Maeve. Insidious Singer. Costs 2 and 2 blue, is a 3/4 siren. Okay, so the bitch is noisy. Pay 2 in the blue, go target creature. Whenever that creature attacks one of your opponents, which is what the fuck gold means, whenever that creature attacks one of your opponents this turn, you may draw a card. I already see potential with that. But, just so anybody who doesn't know, a goaded creature attacks each combat if able, and attacks a player other than you, if able, until end of turn. So, and to me, obviously gold one-on-one doesn't work.
Pause. Not until end of turn, until your next.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Until your next turn. Okay, yep. That makes a lot more sense now that I think about it. Because I haven't used the gold ability. I know of the gold ability. I can see that it's useful. I've just personally never built a deck around it.
Right.
But
I've never had enough gold cards to even try.
Right. I have a few, but yeah, not enough to build a deck. But anyway, yeah, go target creature whenever that creature attacks one of your opponents, which is what's going to happen. And like I said, excuse me. Obviously, well, no. Gold one-on-one is not useless. It just says go target creature. Whenever that creature attacks one of your opponents, this turn draw a card. So you could goad your own creature. That does mean that it has to attack. It's going to have no say-so in the matter. But you're either going to, if you're going to do that, you're obviously going to attack with something that you don't care if it dies, or you know you're going to get through. Or it's something that, say, you have a 9/9 solid vanilla creature, and they have a couple maybe 1/1 chump blockers. You're still going to be able to draw a card, and they are probably going to lose a 1/1. Unless they just take 9 in the face, that's just completely up to them.
Freaking Stormtide Leviathan on the board or something like that, you know?
Well, it depends on what's on the board with Stormtide Leviathan. You remember how that's worded, right?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Alright, well let's check it out. Let's analyze. Stormtide Leviathan costs 5 and 3 blue. It's an 8/8 Leviathan, has Island Walk. This creature can't be blocked as long as defending player controls an island. All lands are islands in addition to their other types. Creatures without flying or Island Walk can't attack. That's why I asked you that.
True.
Because if this is on the board and you goad a ground creature, it's not going to do anything.
True.
Obviously, you can goad flyers. You can get that out, but yeah, if you goad just a ground creature, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
No, that was the reason I asked you that. If you remember exactly how that was worded.
That last little bit.
Because I have one of these in my my evasion deck on purpose, because every creature in it, outside of maybe 3, are offline.
Right.
And this is in that deck. So, but in a multiplayer setting, this can be very interesting. And obviously, if you can make somebody attack with a creature that you want gone. Or you can go to a creature that can attack somebody who you can kill, depending on the creature and depending on their blockers. And you can pay it multiple times. It's not like you have to pay 2 in a blue and tap it. You can pay 2 in a blue as many times as you can afford 2 in a blue.
Right. You can make somebody all out. They're your opponents.
Yeah. If somehow, say, you got infinite blue mana, which there are multiple ways to do, I'm not even going to start going into the combination of cards that can do it, because there are a lot of them. You could go to every creature on the battlefield except yours. And draw cards off of whenever that creature attacks. So yeah, if your opponents each have, say, 4 creatures apiece and you have infinite mana, you can goad all 12 of those creatures, and you're gonna end up drawing 12 cards, unless somebody dies before that.
I think you might be reading this a little wrong here.
Okay, no. What's up? What am I missing?
You would not want to goad the creatures during your turn. You wouldn't goad all of your opponent's creatures at once. You would want to goad your opponent's creatures on their turn, because they will attack that turn, and that's how you will draw the card.
Okay.
Because the card is drawn on this turn.
Oh, you are correct, sir. Thank you for correcting me. Again, like I said, I've not used the goad ability. I do like the ability. But I personally never used it, so I was off. That's fair. That's why we do shows like this.
Yeah, the goad ability itself works until your next turn, but that draw card ability only works this turn.
Gotcha. No. That's a very good and fair point. Like I said, I've never personally used it. I do know of the obvious. I know what goad does. I just read this card wrong. So you're right. You're absolutely right. So yeah, whatever opponent it is, you want to goad them on that player's turn. Yeah.
Yep.
Nope, you are absolutely right. I honestly can't even think of any cards that go with this, outside of bonuses you might get for drawing extra cards. and there's a lot of those because I have a lot of them in my solid blue deck. I really can't think of any. I really can't think of anything. Yeah, you're gonna draw. You're gonna draw cards. You're gonna draw extra cards, and there's never anything wrong with that.
One card that I feel is an auto include with this deck, and it's very basic. It's not game changing. Is Fog Bank.
Fog.
And I know you know what this does.
Yeah, I definitely know what Fog Bank is.
But I mean, if you're going to have creatures attacking, you might as well have a decent blocker.
Here's the thing, though.
I mean,
okay, well, first of all, let me bring up Fog Bank for anybody who doesn't know. Fog Bank, it costs 1 and a blue and is a 0/2 wall. Has Defender, which means it can't attack. Has Flying. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to or dealt by Fog Bank. But if you're using this with... Oh, let me get rid of that. If you're using this with the Goad ability, then that Fog Bank's not going to matter because those creatures can't attack you.
Right. But I'm saying that if you are goading everybody on the board, the moment they are able to attack, they're probably going to come after you. So a blocker like Fog Bank would be necessary in that case, in my mind.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, I got you. Yep. Yeah, this is, I just really don't know what to say about this. I've never used the Goat ability myself. So,
right.
It's kind of hard for me to, it's kind of hard for me personally to go on this because it's an ability I've never tried.
Right, and I know there are cards that play off of the Goat ability that boost stuff for it. I just don't know those cards. Like you said, we haven't really delved into the Goat world.
Yeah, so on that note, for me personally, unless you have anything else to add, I'm fine with just rating this. Because I just really can't think of anything. Because again, I've never used it, so it's kind of hard for me to go off of it. If anybody out there watching is more advanced with the Goat ability, comment below, shoot us some ideas, or what you use, or what cards you think might go with it, how you would use this as a commander, or would it be in the 99 of some other deck that you have, or whatever the case may be. We're always open to ideas. I love seeing different people's opinions and how they play, and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's cool with me. But me personally, like I said, it's so hard to rate it. So I'm going to give it maybe a 4. Only based on, like I said, the fact that I've personally never used the Goat ability. But I also understand what the Goat ability does. You're basically making your opponents attack each other. Right. Which is cool. But the only reason I give it that rating, I almost went with a 5, like right in the middle, just because, like I said, I'm kind of right in the middle. I don't even go 4.5. Fuck it, I'll meet right in the middle of those because I've never used it, but I get why it's useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got for it. You?
I'm gonna go dead center 5. It's a basic blue control the board kind of card. It's not really something that stands out in my mind. It's decent. It's not bad.
Right. No, I can dig it. Well, and let's see how many decks exist with this $5 card. Not very many.
148. All right.
Yeah, not very many. Because anything I've ever really seen with Gold was either red or red and green. I've actually never seen a Gold card in blue. This is the first one. I don't even know that set symbol. That's not Jumpstart.
You can see it from here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Or is this maybe one of those?
This is one of those secondary Theros sets, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know if this was like maybe one of those game night sets. Do any of those come with their own particular cards? I don't know. I've never bought one.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know. But, alright, that will conclude episode 8 of Random Clicks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, thank you. If you subscribe, thank you. If you share it, thank you. But I'm not like these YouTubers. I'm not going to beg. But if you do any of those, I greatly appreciate it. Even if you comment, let us know your thoughts. I appreciate that too. I don't mind feedback. And not to mention, I'm not like one of these big YouTubers that get thousands of comments. I get like maybe 5 comments. So that means I can comment back. I'll see it. That's a guarantee.
Kind of like on Netflix last Saturday.
That is not for the show, but anyway, as is tradition, on to the next time when we have time. So until then, peace.
Later.